Well, he didn't conquer everyone, but enough perhaps to be the next Speaker of the House. But what about those who are still opposed to the, quote, new emperor, Ryan? Joining me now, Representative Mo Brooks, Freedom Caucus member. Before we get to Paul Ryan, I want to ask you, sir, about your thoughts on how Hillary Clinton's testimony is going today. Have your GOP counterparts laid a glove on her?
Well, I don't look at it in terms of someone laying a glove on somebody else. The search for the truth will persist, and hopefully when everything is said and done, the committee will issue a report that helps the American people better understand where the process went wrong, if the process was the cause of the problem, and where the decision makers went wrong, if the decision makers were the cause of the problem. This is not about a presidential campaign. It's about trying to protect American women who are serving in our departments of states as ambassadors or whatever, throughout the globe.
Do you think, though, real quick, that any progress is made toward getting the truth?
Oh, absolutely. Every time we have testimony, we have more insight. Hillary Clinton has shared a lot of insight today. She's faced some pretty tough questions. The proponents and opponents of all this have done a good job of representing their viewpoints, and all of that adds to America's understanding of why we lost 4 Americans in Benghazi and perhaps what we can do to stop it from happening again.
Amen. I think everybody, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, agrees on that. Now, last night, there was something akin to a suspense mystery. The Freedom Caucus, which you're a member of, all got together in room 411, and you had 3 rounds of voting, and there was suspense and there was anxiety, and some people started to sweat. And apparently some caved in on Paul Ryan, but you haven't. What are you waiting for?
Well, I'm not sure that that's entirely accurate, and things here change very quickly. I've had discussions with Congressman Paul Ryan today. I like what Daniel Webster is offering as a speaker. He's the competitor from Florida. He's a fellow Southerner as I am, and he did a great job as Speaker of the House in Florida, and I think that experience and insight would benefit us here in Congress. On the other hand, you've got Paul Ryan, who also has a lot to offer. He gave me assurances of 2 things today that were very important. One is we're not going to allow any immigration bills that are going to increase the surge in the labor supply and hurt working Americans come to the floor this year and next year, so long as Barack Obama is president. And second, we're going to have a majority of the majority rule with respect to all immigration bills, so long as Paul Ryan is Speaker of the House. What that means is we're not going to have open borders and amnesty bills coming through the House of Representatives under Paul Ryan's speakership. And so long as he keeps that commitment, I'm fine with Congressman Paul Ryan.
And the other issues, dropping some long-held rules, the Jefferson rule, and his supreme ability to make committee leadership. Some of these things that people thought John Boehner had perhaps abused. The irony, of course, I think would be that now you've got someone in there who's got a lot more power than John Boehner had.
Certainly, Paul Ryan, because of his charisma, his standing in the Republican conference and with America as a whole, does have a lot more influence capability than perhaps John Boehner had. Nothing against John Boehner. He was a very powerful individual in the halls of Congress. But he didn't have the kind of charisma, the kind of speaking ability, eloquence. He was never a vice presidential candidate as Paul Ryan was. And keep in mind, just 3 years ago, Republicans like myself, we were rallying behind Paul Ryan. My hometown, by way of example, 2 weeks before the election, we raised $1 million for Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. That was a team, that was a ticket, and I helped raise that money and appeared at the event. So Paul Ryan, I'm hopeful, will be a very good speaker. We'll see how it plays out.
What's your hometown, sir?
Huntsville, Alabama, home of Redstone Arsenal.
All right, well, I'm going to be down in Montgomery over the weekend. Maybe I'll run into you.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Thank you very much, and that's great news that you made here, that Paul Ryan is going to put this immigration thing on the back seat. It feels like everyone got something out of this, and now we can move forward to trying to heal the nation. We really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hey, Ben Carson.